So here we have further projects going on. Here we have a clutch and a flywheel to replace on the Fit. Changed the slave cylinder, changed the master cylinder. Gears were starting to get slippery. Very nice, Mercado. So, yeah, now it's time to have some fun projects. I'll try to take you through all the steps of everything I do so you can learn how to do a clutch on a Honda Fit. Because everybody has a Honda Fit that's manual. That's for sure. Step one was to get this car on the lift. It's off the ground. I'm gonna take wheels off, take everything out of the engine bay. It's on the first lock so I can try to pivot stuff from underneath. Alright, I'm gonna start with taking off the cold air intake, take off the battery, make space to get to the top of the clutch, or the transmission rather, and then take off the wheels, take out the axles, and so forth. Alright, I took out the air intake, took out the battery, I loosened up this bracket so that I can move this around. Moved this around, released a couple brackets over there so I can get in here. This is the transmission right here, easy access. I'm gonna have to undo the slave cylinder that I've changed, undo these clips so that probably just do that bolt so I don't have to undo that clip, remove that, undo this engine mount, remove that ground wire, remove this thingamajig, just basically lots of bolts and stuff that I have to remove off of the transmission so I can just drop it out. But seems pretty straightforward to me so far. I'm gonna take out the wheels though and the axles. Alright, well, I took off like the undershield plastic type piece and popped out the axles with a big screwdriver. Didn't really need much leverage. So axles are popped out. I'm still looking for my 32mm socket for the axle nut. Finally found my 32mm socket, so now we can use it to take off the axle. Alright, I got both axles out. This is the longer one, so this side I had to really stretch out to make it work, hoping that I didn't damage this wire. It got a little stretched, brake line got a little stretched, so I had to do some gymnastics with the knuckle, but that's just part of it. Brake pads are looking a little thin, so it's gonna need to get replaced too. The other side looks worse. So, I'm a little out of breath, but both axles are fully out. Now, just gotta remove the transmission. I'm gonna have to finagle that out of there. Move the whole engine down and out. That's gonna be entertaining. gonna keep this engine mount on there, take off this transmission mount, take off another transmission mount, have a jack underneath the transmission, slowly move it down and forward as much as I can. It's not gonna move a lot. I just need room to wiggle the transmission itself off. Okay, I'm about to put the jack underneath the transmission. I'm gonna try to put it under the bell housing right there. Now to remove that transmission mount first, and then there's another one on the top right. The two mounts I'm gonna be removing. Oh no, I missed a part of my video. I used the gun, unzapped these 3 bolts on this mount, and now they're all finger tight, or not even tight, loosening them a little by little, so that the transmission just doesn't drop all completely by itself. So let's do this like that, just like that. These nuts are basically at the top of the thread. I'm gonna lower the jack a tiny little bit. See how everything is moving. I don't want it to just drop out all of a sudden and have no support. So I'm keeping these on just for moral support currently. Alright, currently I'm trying to disconnect the transmission from the motor. I'm finding all these bolts. There's one right there, another one between those 2 hoses. You can see where it's like, you can't see it right now. That's that bolt. But there is one bolt. Let me see if I can. That's the back of the bolt, right behind the wire, right there. And that's the back, like the bottom of the bolt. The head's behind that. I don't know why they would design it that way, because that's like impossible to get to from anywhere. So I have to like reach around and really try to break that bolt free somehow. But obviously if I'm stretched out like that, it's not going to be an easy task. So we'll see if I can do that. So on top of that bolt being very hard to reach, it's behind another bracket on top of that apparently holds the ground wire to the transmission. So thankfully it was there so I could realize that there's a ground wire there, so I don't rip the ground wire taking it off. But why put it there where it's impossible to reach? It'd be much nicer if you didn't do that to me, Honda. Should have thought about me when you built this car. That's why I don't like engineers. Both my brothers are engineers. They're cool, but other engineers, nope. Not a fan. Я не вентилятор. I'm gonna try to disconnect that bracket. See if I can do that. Why does Honda do this to me? Why are you like this? So, time to undo this bolt, undo that bolt, undo some more bolts over here, I believe. I think I have to undo all of these bolts to get this bracket out so I can reach that one bolt on the back, because engineers, it's all their fault. It's all the engineer's fault. But it is Honda, so I'm assuming they might have made something easier than taking off all of this for that. Bracket bolts. Okay. Well, I knew Honda would be semi-cool, so I was able to undo those two bolts, undo that bolt, and now this bracket should be loose enough for me to be able to get behind it to undo that bolt that faces the wrong way. Well, I was able to get it loosened. I don't know if you can see me. See? Oh no, oh no, the wrench fell off. Well, I have to get the socket back on there, but I loosened it, so at least I'm getting somewhere. I have done it. I've removed that one bolt. That was hard to get through. The others are loosened, so I have a few more. Hopefully none are as difficult as this one. I have defeated it. Okay, so it looks like that bolt right there is the last one that I have to loosen / remove. So I guess I have to take off this bracket anyways, so let's do that. Okay, well, my phone's about to die, but I don't want to stop working on this because my phone is dying. So I'm gonna remove that bracket, remove that bolt, that last one, remove the other bolts, and drop the transmission. Maybe when I'm actually dropping it, I'll record it like this and you'll see some stuff. Maybe you'll see my head's all off with the transmission on me. Who knows what's gonna happen, but I have faith. I have faith everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be all right. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Whatever. I'm doing this. Hello, here is clutch. Thankfully, I have the right socket to remove. So, let's remove this old clutch. Remove these bolts so I can get in there. We're about to see how bad this clutch is. There's a lot of stuff falling out of there, a lot of gunk. Looks used. Not falling apart, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Got to take those out on the flywheel. Opa. Not sure what size it is, so I'm just grabbing a bunch. Okay, smaller than 19, bigger than 15. Smaller than 18. Wait, is it the 17 that I've been using for other parts? 17? It's a 17. That's the flywheel. Ta-da. Now we can install a new one. Okay, inspecting all of this stuff. It looks like a mechanical failure. So somehow this one finger is wedged into there. And that's the one finger that's grooved a lot more than the others, causing lots of extra friction, and everything's brown, which means there was a lot of heat in here. So seems like this getting wedged is the cause of the problems. You can see there's a huge gap right there compared to the rest of the fingers. It's weird. Here we open up our new flywheel. We want to clean this up really good with brake clean. And make sure it's very, very dry. And we get all this oil off and wipe it off with a clean rag. We don't want anything on there. No oil, no nothing. See? All that gunk. Gonna take my flywheel that I just cleaned and line it up on here. And hope that I can line up the holes. I'm not sure if there's a specific way that they need to be lined up. I did also clean off these bolts. These are the old bolts that didn't come with new ones. Just so you guys are aware. The torque setting for this will be 87 foot-pounds. Now I just gotta find the 17. I'm gonna put my leg up against the breaker bar I have on the other side as to not twist the motor. Well, this is the trouble. Annoyingly, I ran out of storage on my phone recording that last video, so I basically got the whole clutch on there and recorded all of it, or thought I recorded it. I didn't. I still need to torque down the pressure bolts, pressure plate bolts, and that stuff, but yeah, most of this remaining video is probably going to be time lapses. I just deleted a game, so hopefully that gives me enough storage space on my phone to record the rest of this video. But yeah, here we go. Well, I'm making other videos and I have like 60 minutes worth of footage for those, and yeah, so there's a lot of video footage on everything, so we'll figure something out. Okay, well, transmission, motor, together, married, yay. Basically, I had to move the motor up a tiny little bit. It was getting wedged with the subframe, so the transmission just wasn't getting on there properly. So I was able to put the jack stand a little bit higher with a piece of wood. OSHA violations. And then I just bench pressed the transmission on there because the jack was just constantly slipping, and this transmission's light enough, so it ended up being just easier to bench it. I'm tired. It's been a long week. So I'm here trying to survive, put this transmission back in. Well, I got the transmission back in, thankfully. Hopefully it works. We'll see. Words aren't wording right now because I'm overly tired. So let's hope that I don't miss anything. I haven't even had whiskey yet, which does sound good right now. Maybe I'll have some. I didn't record as much to show everything, but I was having trouble getting this motor mount on, so I undid these two bolts. Then there's another bolt under here. I removed those, mounted these nuts on first, not fully, just to, like, threaded them on, then was able to line these bolts up. Made it a lot easier to get all of this lined up. Then I got down to the bottom and was able to mount this motor mount, because before I got the other upper one on, this was too bent out of whack. I guess that's a phrase. Too bent out of shape to really be able to fit it on there. So now everything is tight, I think. Well, we're still working on it. But I gotta get that bracket on, that other bracket up there on. I'm just looking for the 12mm socket, which I believe I have just found. So right there it is. I'm gonna keep working on it. Okay, so I have that plug, the shifter mechanism. I have to plug that in, bolt this down, plug this plug in, find it wherever it is, right here, tucked away so it doesn't get pinched with the transmission. And then slave cylinder, and then battery brackets and air intake, and should be good. Well, I know I don't have much storage because I didn't record any more work that I did, but currently I'm on the road in this car at a stop sign, and it's working. Glory to God. Yeah, I'm super stoked. Gotta keep this short though, so wish me luck.